Just wait.
Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NFL Week 4 wide receiver picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This is you can watch all of our NFL, NBA, MLB videos. If you haven't already, go check out our new website at www.dfsgp.com. We have all the tools, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, everything that you need to help you compete with the pros day in and day out. So make sure and go check it out at www.dfscheatsheet.com. So really looking forward to this week. We're going to get into these wide receiver picks. How you doing out there, Jeremy?
What's up, man? Having a little cheat day, eating a little pizza for dinner, smashing some carbs.
Hey,
Feeling good right now, man.
I haven't had carbs in like a week now, and I'm like, ugh. But
it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt later on because it always messes. I cramp up at night when I eat carbs because my body's not used to it.
Yeah,
but it's worth it for a little bit.
Hey, it'll be worth it in the end. That's what I tell myself for sure. So, hey, do you want to just jump into this video? You got anything to say real quick about Week 4 before we get started as receivers, or are you ready to roll?
No, but if you do hop on, you're watching it live, make sure that you go ahead and type if you have any questions, hit us with some questions. I'm checking them out. We'll address your questions. Any questions you guys pop in there at the end of the video, and we're done giving our picks.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to just get it started at wide receiver. I'm going to go with the obvious play. I mean, the guy's just been an absolute monster this year. You got Michael Thomas for the Saints. He's pretty much half of their offense by himself. He gets a week against the New York Giants defense, who isn't very good at all. Michael Thomas has just been incredible on the season. He's completing 95% of his passes thrown to him. He's catching them. That's not going to hold up throughout the whole year. But, the guy's just good. Plain and simple. Week 1, 16 catches for 180 yards, a touchdown, 30 fantasy points. Week 2, 12 catches for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns, 25 fantasy points. Week 3, caught all 10 of his targets thrown at him for 129 yards, 18 fantasy points. The guy's just giving you a crazy good ceiling for your cash games. And, if you can find the money to fit him in your lineup, I definitely think he's a solid start to kind of get your week going at wide receiver position.
Absolutely, man. Ride the hot hand, right?
Straight up. I really don't have much else to say about Mike Thomas right now. He's the best receiver in the league this year so far. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
The thing about it is this too, right? I think that at least myself, I thought the Saints defense was going to be much improved. And to this point in the season, the Saints defense has not shown that they're improved. Right. So if you're going to give up points, then you better score points, and you better score a lot of them. Drew Brees looks like Drew Brees from 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He looks like a young Drew Brees. The dude always comes in and puts himself in a good spot by getting himself in shape. Having said that, the beneficiary of that is Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas is going to continue to benefit from Drew Brees throwing the ball as many times as he has and them having to come from behind or at least try to keep scoring until they get their big horseback, right? They're down a running back. Kamara is definitely not a guy who's going to carry the ball 25 times a game. And last year, they were a good 1-2 punch. So when Ingram comes back, you may see a dip in his targets. But I think the stat, I'm not sure if you mentioned it. I was wrapped up in my pizza for a second. But did you mention that Michael Thomas is catching 95% of his targets?
First thing I mentioned, bro.
So the thing is not only is he getting targets, even if he sees a dip in targets, he's making the most of his opportunities right now. And that's pretty much just lock the guy in.
Bro, he dropped 2 passes and 40 passes thrown to him, bro. I'm sorry. He's caught every pass thrown to him but 2 passes in the first 3 games. It's crazy.
This guy's been a beast since high school. I've seen him. I watched him play high school football at Taft High School. The dude's been an absolute monster, track star. He's still the same guy, man. He's a burner. That's the thing, too, is the one thing that a lot of people don't realize about this guy is he can stretch the field. He has not had a big 80-yard touchdown. That's coming. I guarantee you that's coming.
Right. All right. Who you got for us to start us off?
So I've got kind of a collection of guys that I'm looking at this week that haven't scored yet, right? They just haven't gotten the end zone yet. You're going to mention one of them, a guy that I absolutely love. You're going to mention in a little bit. He's another guy with 0 touchdowns. But I'll start it off with Odell Beckham at 8,600. No touchdowns, 34 targets, 24 receptions, 271 yards receiving. The Saints are not a good defense. We just talked about it. I don't think the New York Giants are a very good football team, but I do believe Eli Manning can put some points on the board in that game, and I do think Odell Beckham is gonna finally get in the end zone and score. And the thing about Beckham, 2-3 touchdown upside, right? We don't have to go back very far to think about Eli Manning throwing 5 touchdown passes against New Orleans and in New Orleans, right? We don't have to go back very far to think about how big of a letdown that game was. I believe it was 2 years ago when it was like a 55 or 60 over-under. Having said that, there's going to be points scored in this game. The Saints defense is not very good. I really think Odell Beckham gets in the end zone multiple times this week. And at $8,600, if he does get in the end zone multiple times this week, it will be the last time he's below $9,000.
Yeah, no, I have nothing, against Odell Beckham. We've been seeing the Saints defense get torched, week in and week out. I'm a firm believer, just like I said, in Zach Ertz on our tight end. He's their main target for the Eagles, and he hasn't got a touchdown yet. He's going to get in. It's the same thing with Beckham. Stars, quarterbacks look for their stars in the red zone. Maybe first couple of weeks they haven't had that opportunity, but it's definitely coming. At the end of the year, they're going to have their touchdowns. So this would be a good week for Odell, definitely, to kind of get going against a weak Saints defense. So for me, my next guy that I'm going to talk about is going to be Jarvis Landry for the Browns. Jarvis Landry, even before Mayfield came in, he was, top 5 in the league in targets by Tyrod Taylor. Quarterbacks just love throwing him the ball. This week, he gets a matchup against the Raiders, weak secondary. These guys are allowing almost 9 yards per catch that, opponents are getting on them. So, opponents aren't just getting 2 or 3 yard slants and they're going down. They're getting chunks. They're getting, 19 yards. That's almost a first down every single catch that they're allowing. Landry, now he has Baker Mayfield. He looked good, in one half last week. Baker Mayfield, he went off. He turned the Browns around as far as they finally got a win. You know what I mean? I seen all the celebration out there in Cleveland. They were unlocking beer, like refrigerators they've had stored for years and stuff like that because they finally got a win. They have some momentum on their side. Even before last week when they got a win, the first 2 weeks, the Browns actually weren't looking too bad, bro. You know what I mean? And I definitely think that the Browns can have a good game. In the second half last week, Mayfield targeted Landry 9 times. Landry caught 7 catches for 91 yards, for 13 yards per catch. Landry, he's always been those guys, one of those guys that just gets, 5 to 7 yards, kind of like a possession receiver. So the fact that last week, in the second half, he got 13 yards per catch, 9 targets, 7 for 91 yards. I mean, that's a really, really positive kind of momentum thing for him. And I definitely think Landry's a really good cash game play. If he has a couple, really good weeks with Baker Mayfield, his price is going to jump up quick and he's going to be in the 8,000s. So I think this is a really good buy low opportunity for him, especially in your cash games.
Buy low opportunity. Exactly. Those are my thoughts. Exactly. One thing, I don't have anything to really add to that because I absolutely love Jarvis Landry this week. I do think he's going to be popular because he pairs perfectly with Baker Mayfield in a stack. One guy that I'll add to that is Antonio Callaway. I think Antonio Callaway at minimum price, $4,500, is going to win somebody money this week, maybe win somebody a lot of money this week. Here's the reason why. 10 targets. He had 10 targets in that game when Baker Mayfield came in that game. 10 targets in a half of football is a lot of targets. So I think Callaway's a really sneaky guy. I don't think too many people will be on Callaway, and I think he's a really good pivot off Landry in tournaments or to complete your stack if you want to stack up Mayfield, Landry, and Callaway. The next guy I'm going to go with is Keenan Allen at 8,100. Little bit of a fall off last week on paper, I guess, if you look at it from a target standpoint, but he's still Keenan Allen. He's still a target monster, and he did go against the Rams defense. The Rams defense, there's no other way to say it. They're stacked. Yeah. They're absolutely stacked.
No joke, bro.
I know they don't have to keep to leap for a little bit, but they're absolutely stacked. So, he still had a solid week last week, but it was a fall off week on paper, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I'm going with Keenan Allen for the Sammy Watkins effect, right? I was big on Sammy Watkins last week. Sammy Watkins, I like I said, possession wide receiver, didn't have a touchdown, looked like he was in great shape. Keenan Allen is in great shape. Keenan Allen is a target monster. Keenan Allen is the possession receiver. He's not the deep threat. They got Williams for that. They've got other guys that they'll stretch the football field with. The 49ers have given up passing yards to every single team they've played, starting with Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Then Kenny Galladay, Golden Tate, and Marvin Williams. They all get theirs. Now you look at last week, Sammy Watkins. He gets his. I look for Keenan Allen just to be another guy in that line of wide receivers going against the 49ers to go off. So at $8,100, I think it's a very fair price for what he's about to do against that 49ers defense. I'm locking him in my tournament lineups this week.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great play. I like Keenan Allen pretty much any week. You know, the fact that, like you said, he always gets the targets. I mean, there's no way around it. He's Rivers' favorite target. You know, he's going to get double-digit targets once again. Just like you said with Sammy Watkins last week, it was a great call. And, you know, the difference is Sammy Watkins has a bunch of other playmakers around him, and he's still got his. You know, in this case, Allen is the main guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't have all the other guys. So, yeah, Allen's a great play. I really like that call a lot. So to go into my next pick, I'm going to go with Golden Tate for the Detroit Lions. I mean, Tate, thing about him, bro, is he's not getting the red zone targets right now, but he's still getting tons of targets. Through the first 3 weeks, he's got 36 targets, 15 week 1, 13 week 2, 8 last week. And he's caught he caught 7 targets, 6 targets last week. So he's catching his targets that are thrown at him. He's going against our Cowboys secondary. I mean, our safety just suck. There's not really much else to say about it. It is what it is. Golden Tate's going to be the guy in the slot. We got absolute torched by Tyler Lockett last week out of the slot. He caught 4 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Detroit, they're going to put up some points in this game against us. And, I like Tate. I think that he's under 7,000. Great price for him. He's going to end up finding the end zone. He's one of those guys. Tate, he's going to be my final play at wide receiver.
I like Golden Tate. Like you said, the Dallas Cowboys do not have a very good secondary. It hasn't been a secret. They haven't had a good secondary for quite some time. Any Dallas Cowboys fan will tell you, why don't they draft secondary players? Golden Tate has a little bit of history. He's had some good games against Dallas Cowboys as well. I'm going to stay right in that game with my next pick, and I'm going to go with Kenny Galladay. Look, this guy at $5,800, 2 words, too cheap. For what he's done, for where he's at this season, and the role he's played in that offense, if you just take a look at his numbers, 12 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets, 7, 6, and 6. The guy's got 19 receptions, almost 300 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, and he's only $5,800. 14.9, 17.9, 14.3. Those are his fantasy point totals in the first 3 weeks of the season. I can't find another wide receiver that is really that cheaply priced for the production. $5,800 for somebody who's averaging 15.7 fantasy points over 3 games. Usually when you see a guy who's priced that low with an average that high, there is 1 huge game and maybe 2 smaller games. It's not the consistency level that Kenny Galladay has brought to the table for the first 3 weeks for the Detroit Lions. The thing about the Lions is they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. So, you take a look at all 3 of their wide receivers, and really all 3 of them are wide receiver number 2s. They don't have a guy that is a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver. They've got 3 guys that have been number 2 wide receivers really their whole career. And I think that you kind of alluded to something with Golden Tate. He hasn't been seeing his red zone targets. I think Golden Tate's the big play guy, right? Like Golden Tate's the guy you're looking to catch a slant or a drag, maybe catch 4. He'll get red zone targets if it's – and in the history has shown this. He is your 2-3 yard, 3rd down, throw him a slant. That's Golden Tate. He's going to get his targets. The Lions, for them to be productive, they need to have Golden Tate play really well. He's the kind of the cog in their wheel that moves the chains for him. Kenny Galladay is a guy I think is a big play wide receiver. I love him for tournaments. I think he's way too cheap. I'll give you two more bonus picks of guys that I'm looking at too. T.Y. Hilton and DeAndre Hopkins. Plain and simple, they've had monster games against each other. Just check the game logs for the previous years. One of these two guys in this matchup every single year goes absolutely nuts, right? I'm talking like you've had games where they've had 18 targets, 19 targets. DeAndre Hopkins had, I think, a 9-reception, 15-target game. I'm giving those two bonus picks. Those are two guys that I think both get in the end zone this week in that matchup, if not once, maybe twice. So just to wrap up my picks, Keenan Allen, Odell Beckham, Kenny Golladay, I'm giving you the bonus picks of T.Y. Hilton and DeAndre Hopkins for no other reason than history. I just think that those two guys, history has dictated that in that matchup, one of those two guys will have an enormous game, if not both of them.
Yeah, no, I definitely like all those plays. And just kind of let me do a quick rewind. You know, I like Michael Thomas for the Saints, the guy, top receiver in the league right now. Jarvis Landry, he's going to have a big season, in my opinion, with Baker Mayfield. And then you got Golden Tate. You know, he's going to have a good day against that Cowboys secondary out of the slot. And, hey, I mean, that's all I really got for wide receivers, man. You got anything for us? Or are you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, man. Look forward to the next video. We'll be breaking down running backs next. We'll also be on live twice tomorrow with the DFS 5-pack. We'll be on their channel doing more of a DraftKings style video, and then they'll be on our channel doing a more of a FanDuel. So make sure you catch both those videos tomorrow. And again, turn your notifications on so that when we do go live, you are in the mix and you can catch or ask questions or interact with us.
Yep. So, hey, hit us with those questions below. If you do got them, we'll definitely get to them in the next video. And, hey, that's all for our wide receiver video. So we'll see you tomorrow with that running back video. And, hey, peace out, guys.